There will not be a need to detach yourself from the gashmius of the world in order to experience and benefit from the divine light that will be revealed then. Because the gilui of divinity will be so intense and so great and so unlimited that it will shine in the gashmius itself, not less than it will shine in the spiritual highest worlds, and even more so. It's the eve of Yud Daled Shvat. We are getting closer to Tu B'Shvat, and maybe we'll be able to weave something into the learning tonight about Tu B'Shvat as well. I decided that we should start early enough so we can take our time and learn it b'mnuchas hanefesh as much as possible, and also to start a Maimar on Purim, to prepare for Purim, and also leaving enough time to learn a Maimar on Pesach. Usually we have little time because we stop learning it earlier, sometimes because of cleaning, Pesach cleaning and so on, and that there's not that much time, so we'll start early, B'ezras Hashem. Torah Or Megilas Esther, it's page 186. I also posted it on our chat, and it is page Tzadik Gimel, Amud Daled. At the end of the left side of that page 186, ויושט המלך לאסתר את שרביט הזהב, ותקם אסתר ותעמוד לפני המלך וגומר. This Maimar is based on the pasuk from Megillas Esther, that the king put out the golden scepter, royal scepter, towards Esther, who was approaching him, and Vatakam Esther, who was in front of him, and Esther arose, Vatakam, and she stood up, Lifnei HaMelech, in front of the king. Let's first give a short hakdama, a preface for this Maimar. And first of all, the Maimar itself was said by the Alter Rebbe on Purim, Tav Kuf Samach. That means 1800, Purim of 1800. This Maimar was also said with Biurim by the Mittler Rebbe and by the Tzemach Tzedek, and also by Rabbi Hillel Paritcher. And as possible, we will weave into the learning of the Maimar some Biurim from the Mittler Rebbe and from the Tzemach Tzedek and from Rabbi Hillel Paritcher on this Maimar of the Alter Rebbe. I like this preface that is given here in the Chassidus Mevoeres, and we'll start with that, and then we will go straight into the Maimar itself. So Chazal are maflig. They spoke very highly about all the Moadim, but especially the Maila of Purim over the other Yom Tovim, to the extent that Chazal say that in the future to come, all the Moadim will be Yubetelim, will be nullified, and Yemei HaPurim lo yibatlu. And the days of Purim will never be annulled. So, lich'oira, these are seemingly, it's hard to digest it, because in what way Purim is so higher from the rest, or than the rest of the Moadim, or the Yamim Tovim? Is it that the salvation of Purim was greater, for instance, than the salvation of Eretz Mitzrayim? And on the other hand, if it's about the Matzav Ruchni of the Jewish people, then in the time of Purim, the Matzav Ruchni of the Jewish people was not at the highest. And all the other Moadim, the Matzav Ruchni of Yidden was higher than Yemei HaPurim. And now as well, spiritually, we are it looks like we are on a higher level, and therefore we refrain from melacha and so on, and all kinds of isurim or prohibitions that we have in the other Yamim Tovim that indicate that there is more Kedusha, and therefore we have to, Kedusha means separation, we have to separate from doing weekday malachos and so on. Purim is not like that. Nevertheless, Dafka say Chazal, the Simcha of Purim exists forever and will never be annulled. We will explain later, of course, as the Rebbe explained also, that since in this Maimar, the Rebbe will compare Purim to halachos, to mitzvahs. And just as mitzvahs are not batal la'asid lavoy, also Purim, the light of Purim will not be batal la'asid lavoy, and the other Yamim Tovim will be. So obviously it doesn't mean that we will stop celebrating Pesach or Shavuos or Sukkot. Of course we will. Why? Because mitzvahs einan betelos leolam. Mitzvahs are never annulled. And there is a mitzvah to celebrate Pesach, there is a mitzvah to celebrate Shavuos, there is a mitzvah to celebrate Sukkot. So the Moedim will never be annulled. So what does it mean as Chazal say that they are betelim, except for Purim that will be einam betelim leolam, the lights of Purim? It means, as Hasidus explained, it's like holding a flame of a candle in front of the sun that will still celebrate every Yontif. But the light of Geula will be so bright, and the Gilui Or and so will be so bright, that the lights of the Moedim will be, I don't want to say insignificant, but enough for Chazal to say that there will be battle. Purim will stay. From this we come to the wondrous point that is explained in this Maimar. And that is that the Chidush, the innovation of La'asid Lavoy, is that the divine light will be revealed dafka in this physical earth, on this physical earth. And the depth of this Chidush is that it is a simple and a very general klal in Ruchnius, that al pi seder v'adraga there is more and more Gilui Elokus as you go higher and higher in worlds. And surely, as you go lower and lower, surely down to this physical world, you have less and less Gilui Elokus. So if this is the case, the logical conclusion from this observation and from this information or from this principle should be applied to the way a person serves his master, his creator. How so? That if serving Hashem has the agenda of coming closer and closer to Him, that means that we have to ascend higher and higher into the higher spiritual worlds. And that means that we have to go further and further away from this world in order to bring ourselves closer to Or HaKedusha, to the light of Kedusha. And even though Hasidus teaches us that it is the will of Hashem that the person should engage in himself in Hamshachas Or HaKedusha, in bringing the light of the Kedusha of Elokus down into this world, because of which we are given physical mitzvahs. Most of the mitzvahs of the Torah are done with physical objects, in order to bring Elokus into this physical world, as explained at length in Sefer HaTanya Kadisha. Also, we were commanded, Kol ma'asecha yihu l'shem shamayim, that Hashem created man in such a way that he has to be engaged in the needs of the body and all his physical needs, but he should be engaged l'shem shamayim. Bottom line is, there is always a split. And when a person is engaging in inyanim gashmim, he's I wouldn't say divorced, but he's further away from inyanim ruchnim. You can't be doing what? Both. Meaning, can you compare a person who can completely immerse himself in ruchnius, in learning and davening, to a person who has to deal with all kinds of jobs and business and physical things and buildings and all kinds of things? It's a different way of being. It's a different level of serving Hashem. About this, the Alter Rebbe explained that this rule is only true when you are talking about the divine light that is invested in the worlds and in creations, in created beings, which is a limited light, a light that is actually gradual and taka descend as we go lower and lower in worlds. But in relation to Hashem himself, and here it doesn't say here, but regarding Or Soive, Velokus, the way it's not limited and tailored to the kelim of the worlds. Then Elyon v'Tachton, higher and lower, regarding Or and Sof, higher and lower, is the same. They are both exactly the same in relation to him. And he can reveal himself lemata in this physical world, just as he can reveal himself lamala in the spiritual world. And adrabah, even more so, Rabboteinu teach us. Nis'ava HaKadosh Baruch Hu liyos lo yizbarach dira b'tachtonim. He prefers and desires dafka to dwell here and to share himself with us here in the lowest world, that here he will fix his final eternal revelation of who he really is. In other words, in simple words, in the future to come, teaches us the Alter Rebbe, there will not be a need to detach yourself from the gashmius of the world in order to experience and benefit from the divine light that will be revealed then. Because the gilui of divinity will be so intense and so great and so unlimited that it will shine in the Gashmius itself, not less than it will shine in the spiritual highest worlds, and even more so. So in this Maimar, the Rebbe will teach us specifically, to understand, what is the spiritual avoida of all the Moadim, all the Yamim Tovim of the year, that take detach, cause a person, bring a person to detach himself from inyanim of wealth and to seclude himself with avodas Hashem, each yontef according to its inyanim. And on the other hand, this is the regular Moadim. On the other hand, the great chidush of Purim, which shares in common the same thing with the halachas of the Torah, about which Chazal said that they will never be annulled in the future to come. So now the Rebbe will teach us how, regarding the light of Purim, similar to, identical to the halachos of the Torah, not identical, but similar to the halachos of the Torah, they will never be annulled, and how there is in them me'ain of the gilui of the future to come. And from this, the conclusion is simple. It's a person, a Yid is demanded, is expected two opposite things. On one hand, we should know that when Yemale Kvod Hashem es kol haaretz, when the glory of Hashem fills the land, then Chaim Gashmin, Chaim Ruchnim are, I'm sorry, until the glory of Hashem will fill the land, which means the way things are now. Then the Chaim Gashmin and Chaim Ruchnim are like a scale. You cannot really taste the spiritual if your connection, if your attachment to the physical is equal. The more attached you are to the spiritual, the more you let go of the physical. That's on one hand. This is now. Together with that, we should also know, and know meaning be aware, be conscious of it, that the end goal, the final goal of our service on this earth is to make for him, Yisbarach, Dira B'Tachtonim, which means that we need to expand the realm of Kedusha, which means we have to refine and elevate the world and to spread Elokus and Yiddishkeit in our neighborhood, in our environment, in the entire world, to bring the consciousness of Torah into the consciousness of human beings, like Avraham Avinu, the first Jew did, Al Tikri Vayikra Ela Vayakri B'Shem Hashem, B'Shem Kel Olam, Hashem Kel Olam, that he trained people to call in the name of God, to recognize God. And so we are paving the way to that time that we will zocher to the Gilui of Or Havaya, that will not have any levush, any garment, and then it will be revealed in this world, not only, not less, but even more than any of the higher spiritual worlds. This is basically the spirit of this Maimar. And now we can begin. Be'ezras Hashem. This is the first chapter of the Maimar, in which the Rebbe will, just to get us into the spirit of Purim, the Rebbe will explain the reason why Knesset Israel, why the Jewish collective soul, every soul, is called Esther. ויושט המלך לאסתר את שרביט הזהב, ותקם אסתר, ותעמוד לפני המלך וגומר. This is for Megillas Esther, of course. Chapter Ches, Pasuk Daled. Esther was stretching herself, bowing down and crying before the king. He stretched out this golden scepter, and Esther stood up and stood before the king. So now the Rebbe will have a question, because we need to understand this section of Megillas Esther in comparison to the section before, where Esther first time approached the king, and it says, and when she was not called, and it says there, the Sham Ne'emar in the section before, ויושט המלך את שרביט הזהב אשר בידו, that the king put out the golden scepter that he had in his hand, וגם שם נאמר ותיגע בראש השרביט. And also in the previous psukim in the Megillas Esther, it says that there when the king put out, hand out the scepter, she touched the edge of the scepter. That's what it said before. V'chan, here in this pasuk mashma, it means, it looks like what it means, shenatan la kol hasharvit, that the king gave her the entire scepter. So there is a difference. In the previous psukim, it is explained that Achashverosh held, King Achashverosh held the scepter, the golden scepter in his hand. He put it out so Esther should be allowed to come to the king. She came in without permission. He put it out, so there's a sign that she is allowed to approach him. And then she came and touched the scepter. The second time here, he doesn't say the scepter asher beyado, that's number one. He doesn't say that he kept holding it like in the previous psukim. It said asher beyado. He kept holding it, and she just touched it. But here it doesn't say asher beyado, and also doesn't say vatiga berosh hasharvit. Here it doesn't say that he touched the edge of the scepter. And that mashma that he gave Esther the entire scepter. Shoshit miyado leada mamash. This is what the Mittler Rebbe says. That the king actually gave over the scepter from his hand to her hand. That's in the second parsha of the scepter. וגם להבין עניין זה בכל זמן מהו. Also, we have to understand, we know that the Torah is eternal. And every occurrence in the Torah applies to all times and all places and all conditions. So what's the eternal meaning of this story about the interaction between Esther and the king and the scepter, and the two types of interactions? In which the first one he just touched the scepter, and in the second one he gave her the scepter. What is that nogea? How is that nogea to our avodas Hashem? So to understand that, in Knesset Yisrael nikres b'shem Esther. The Jewish soul is called Esther. Al Shem, va'anochi haster astir panai bayom hahu. I am going to, when it says in the Torah that there will come a day that when you don't behave, says Hashem, I will hide my face and you will suffer, God forbid, all kinds of sorrows, of trouble. What does it mean spiritually, aster panai bayom hahu? כי פני הוויה שהוא גילוי שכינתו, כמו שכתוב יאר השם פניו אליך. What does it mean, פני הוויה? פני הוויה means גילוי שכינתו, the גילוי השכינה. As we say, יאר השם פניו אליך, like in ברכת כהנים. Now, that גילוי is now in a condition, הוא עכשיו בזמן הגלוס מסוסרס בבחינת ביום ההוא. As the Torah says, ביום ההוא הסתר אסתיר את פניי. That day I will hide my face, says Hashem. That day, ביום ההוא. So the Rebbe is beginning to explain that Esther comes מלשון hiding and concealing. It's a description, it's a kinui, an adjective, a nickname, so to speak, to Knesset Yisrael, to the collective Jewish soul at the condition at the time of galus, of exile, that then there is a matzah of a hester panim. The face of God is hidden. There is no gilui shechina. Godliness is not revealed. As Rabboseinu Zichronam Livracha say in the Chul, in the Gemara, Esther min Torah minayin. How do you find Esther Megilas Esther in the Torah? שנאמר, ואנוכי אסתר אסתיר את פניי ביום ההוא. That's what Chazal say. That when it says in the Torah, אסתר אסתיר פניי, ביום ההוא, which is in Parshas Vayelech, chapter Lamed Aleph, Chazal say, the Pnei Hashem, דהיינו גילו שכינתו. That day, there will come a time that it will not be like in the time of Beis HaMikdash, that there was Gilui Shechina, in other time, Messiahs of Bnei Yisrael, Hashem revealed himself and so on. Come a time that we are in now and ending now, B'ezras Hashem, immediately, that there is no Gilui Shechina, Hester Panim. No Ya'er Hashem Panav Elecha. Pnei Hashem, the Gilui Shechina, is hidden in Zman HaGalus. And the description is Bayom Hahu, is a time of who. Who means that one, not this one in front of me, not second person, third person, hidden. Also regarding the three regalim, he said we have the mitzvah lalos laregel, to do pilgrimage to see Pnei Havai. As the Mittler Rebbe explains here, Gilui Shechina milemala, it's called Pnei Havai. It's Yira'eh kol zchut, begimel regalim, it says, in the Gimel regalim, the Pasuk says, Yira'eh kol zchucha is Pnei Havai. All the males have to see the face of Havai. All males are obligated to come up to Yerushalayim and to see the face of God. Gilui Shechina. Now, if you want a deeper explanation, we can bring here also the Mittler Rebbe, that many times bring more specific, deeper explanations. What does it mean really Bayom Hahu, that day, that, Bayom Hahu? So what happens to Or HaShechina in a condition of a Bayom Hahu, explains the Mittler Rebbe. That Bayom Hahu, that when the Shechina is misuteret bivchinas Bayom Hahu, that's Or HaShechina כפי שהיא בשורשו ומקורו למעלה מגדר גילוי. When it says that Shechina is not revealed, that means that Shechina withdraws, right? It goes back to its source. And really, it's also a rule, you can say, that when you talk about Etzem is the opposite of Gilui. So when the Shechina goes back to its essence, then it's not Begilui. It's in a condition that it goes back to its essence. It calls all its troops back home. So this is a condition that is called in the Torah, Yashes Choshech Sisro, or Yeshev B'Seiser Elyon, as we say in, I think it's Tzadik Aleph, in Tehillim. That's a matzah that is called Choshech because Gilui is Or. And when something is back in its source and not revealed, it's Choshech. And this is called Bayom Hahu, when the light of godliness is back in its source and not drawn out to be revealed. So when the Gashmius and the Chumrius of the world are concealing over the light of the Shechina in a manner that the Shechina cannot be revealed, explains the Mittler Rebbe that this, then in that case, the Shechina goes back to the condition of Bayom Hahu. It goes back to its source, which is called the Choshech Elyon. It's a divine darkness, which is higher than Gilui. For us, it's darkness, because there's no Gilui at all. In any case, let's go back to the text. So, כי יום ההוא מורה על יום שאינו נראה ונגלה. It's, ההוא means a yom that is third person, means is not revealed. Not nochach, second person is in front of you. You can call it hazeh, hayom hazeh. You can point to it. Hayom hahu is nistar, is hidden. In contrast, מה שאין can contrast to yom hazeh, this day. ודרך פרט, בכל נפש מישראל. So this is generally why Knesset Israel are called Esther, because of the condition of Hester Panim, that Elokus is not in a revealed way, in a condition of Galus. ודרך פרט. This is generally to the Jewish collective soul, but also individually, each and every one of us. בכל נפש מישראל, הנה כאשר בחינת ניצוץ נפשו האלוקיס, הוא מכוסה ומלובש בלבושי מחשבה, דיבור, מעשה הגשמיים. When the divine spark of our godly soul is covered up and enclosed with garments, which means the way we communicate, the way we express ourselves, through the garments of thought, speech, and maaseh that are gashmim. So generally in the relationship between Klal Yisrael and the Shechina, That's the general template. But individually, each and every person, the term Esther indicates a condition of concealment, that the divine spark in our neshama is hidden. Why? Because we are engaged with Inyanim Gashmim, and our thoughts, speech, and action are invested in Inyanim Gashmim, and it becomes like a garment, a levush, that is mechaseh, that covers up over the godly soul. And this is a condition of Esther, of concealment. We are approaching now Tu B'Shvat. There's a lot, the Rebbe is teaching how each of the, as we said, this is the yontif that the Rebbe really brought to light. One of these Yamim Tovim that we specified before. And how each of the seven minim is representing another midah, another aspect of our relationship with Hashem, with Elokus, and another midah that we are refining. So the te'ena, we have the chita, the seorah, which is the nefesh ha'elokis, the chita. Chita is gematria, chav beis oisi Torah. It's the nefesh ha'elokis, that's chesed. Serving Hashem with love. Then we have the seorah, the barley, that's gvura. That's the working of the nefesh ha'elokis with the nefesh ha'bahamis, the discipline nefesh ha'bahamis. That calls for discipline, gvura. And then we have the gefen. We're not going into it. The gefen is the simcha, which is, the end of the yain, gefen. But there is the te'ena. What is the te'ena, the fig? Remember that in Gan Eden, after the chet, the tafru, they were sewing to themselves garments from the alei te'ena, from the leaves of the te'ena. And te'ena represents machshava, dibur, and ma'aseh, the three libushei hanefesh. And this is something that, we are many times quite conscious and aware, which we are celebrating now Chag HaIlanos, Rosh Hashanah LaIlanos, Ki Adam Etz HaSadeh. Really in Torah it's a question, Ki Adam Etz HaSadeh. We shouldn't, really in the Torah it's a question. We are used to say it as a statement, Adam Etz HaSadeh, but in the Torah it's a question. We are mitzvah not to destroy the trees in war, because Torah says, Ki Adam Etz HaSadeh, okay, you want to kill each other, people want to kill each other, but Adam Etz HaSadeh is not a person, so you don't have to kill the trees. We use it in a different way. It's a statement. Adam is like the Chazal says, Etz HaSadeh. We're compared, Etz HaSadeh is Gematria 474, which is the Gematria of Das. That's the inyan of Etz HaSadeh. A tzaddik, a complete person, which is also the letter of Shvat, of the month of Shvat, the letter of tzaddik, which looks like an 8, like a 3, especially the final tzaddik. Eitz hasadeh gematria das. And in that we are celebrating mainly, interesting, that's for a moment, if you remind me, I'll come back to that, but we are celebrating more the fruits than the grains on Tu B'Shvat, even though the 7 minim include the grains, chita is se'ora. But what I wanted to say here is that the nefesh ha'elokis is covered up because of the garments of machshava, dibur, ma'aseh are involved in the Gashmius reality. And it happens very often that when it comes to consciousness and awareness, when it comes to mitzvahs, certain things we are very aware and we are intentful and we are choosing and we are selective and we are intentful. We have a kavanah. But very often when it comes to the 3 garments of thought, speech, and action, we don't take lead enough. And therefore the machshava just roams and takes us with it. We don't take command and take lead of the inner chat room, to stand in the entrance to our inner mind, in the chat room of the world of thinking, of thought, and say, not everyone that rings the bell walks into my house and is invited to sit down in my living room. And so too, we should be very intentful that our engagement in thoughts should be inspired by the vision of what we are doing here and what we want to accomplish. And thoughts that are not supporting that are not to be identified with, and not to be let in, and not to be engaged in. And so too diburim. We meet each other, and we sit together, and somebody's Shabbos, somebody by the table, whatever it is. Before we know it, blah, 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 we talk about everything in the world. I mean, sometimes I heard, it's a way of bonding. But even bonding has to be intentful. You want to bond that, in the morning when you say hello to someone, give him a compliment or her a compliment, and that's an intentful act of unifying, of Ahavas Yisrael, whatever your vision is. But stam to let conversation about anything that happened to you and has no purpose, and you just share it, and how you met this person in the bank, and how did they do, and you know what, this shaitan, about that, why? It's dvarim betelim. It's so we have to, and what it does, it's metamtem. It seals the ability of the nefesh haelokis to communicate authentically. It covers it up. The te'ena, the fig. Ve'ein or, this is Esther, a individual condition of Esther. ואין אור השם שורה ומסגלה בו, להיות נתפס ונקבע במוחו וליבו, האהבה להוויה, לדבקה בו ויסגלוס הלב, כי אם בבחינת מקיף עליו מלמעלה. What does it mean that we are in a condition of Esther in time of Galus? That the light of Hashem does not dwell and reveal itself in our consciousness to be constantly grasped and fixed in our mind, in our heart, in such a way that I constantly feel my love to Hashem, and constantly I'm driven to cleave to Him in a revealed way in my heart. Not just that my mind is giving me a command, that I have to do this mitzvah or that mitzvah. It means that bizgalus halev, that there is a love in a revealed way in my heart. That doesn't happen in a time of galus. Rather, we have a relationship that is called makif, milamayla. It's in a hidden way. The Havai is there, but it's not bizgalus in his heart. And this love, when it remains, and now B'Hashgacha Pratis in the Tanya, we have learned the Ahava Mesuseres from Perek Yud Ches, that every Yid has. Nikra b'chinas ahava zu b'shem Esther. This type of love that is hidden there and not bizgalus balev all day in a way that it's nikbai, that it's fixed and embedded in our consciousness, that all day long I'm in this passion of just cleaving to Him and nothing distracts me. Nikra b'chinas ahava zu b'shem Esther. Then this love, when it's concealed so much, is called Esther, שהיא מסוסרת בבחינת ביום ההוא שאינה בהסגלות. It is hidden in a condition of ביום ההוא, that day, that is not revealed. לפיכך, נקראת, therefore, this is Esther, it's called Esther. והיא בבחינת נקודה בהיכלה. What's the condition of Ahavas Hashem in a galus condition that is called Hester, of concealment? It is called Kabbalistically Nekuda Behechala. It's like a point in a chamber in space. This Ava Mesuseres, the way it is hidden and concealed, the Pnimius of Halev, of a Yid, is called in the Zohar Nekuda Behechala, like a point in the chamber. It is like in a condition of a nekuda. A point doesn't have any pashtus, doesn't have any manifestation, doesn't have any dimension, doesn't have no orech, no rochav, no gova, right? No ispashtus. This ava is in a condition of a point, a potential. And it's not misgali, it's not extending itself and spreading and revealing itself in the heart of man that it can experience it. And the reason is, when a person is engaged in all these inyanim gashmim in a way that he becomes driven away from himself when he is engaged in them, then what happens to this ava? It goes back to its shoresh. It's like all the troops are coming back home, and that's it. There's no giluim of this ava. It becomes a point, just a potential in the heart, in the pneumius of the heart of the person, and not revealed in the heart, which is like a chamber in which this point of love is present. בפנימיוס נקודס ליבו, says the Rebbe, ודאי מסוסרת היא האהבה בכל נפש מישראל. In the pnimius, in the innermost point of every Jewish heart, for sure their love is present there, in a hidden way, in a concealed way, for sure the love is there. In בכל נפש מישראל. ואין לך אדם שאין לו בחינה פנימיוסו. You don't have a Yid that doesn't have this inner point. This Ava mesuseret LaKadosh Baruch Hu, deeply hidden and concealed, amok in pnimius halev of each and every Yid, even if he doesn't feel it. Surely he has it. No Yid is missing that love. אלא, however, שלהוציא מההלם אל הגילוי אינה שווה בכל אדם. To bring it out from a concealed state, to be revealed, that's not equal by every person. There's a difference between Oved Elokim, that Avat Hashem is burning in his heart, and someone who doesn't feel any love. What's the difference? The difference is how much of this love was revealed. And in this there are many levels. ולכן, therefore, לימוס המשיח, in the days of Mashiach in the Geula, שאז יזדחך האדם, and then the person will be more refined and purified, אזי יהיה בבחינס ונגלה כבוד הווי, then it will be in the manner of the glory of Hashem will be revealed, וראו כל בשר, and all flesh will see, ואמר ביום ההוא, and then on that day we will say, הנה אלוקינו, זה קיווינו לו, וגומר. Here is God, זה, now we'll say not who, זה, we can point and see this, say this is the God that we were hoping for all those years. And kivinu also comes from the word kav, means to bring down, like a vav, like a letter vav. Kivinu, this is the God that we were mamshich, kivinu, bringing down, like a kav. That a kav represents Hamshacha, Kabbalistically. So this is the God that we were mamshich down. This is the Elokus. We were mamshich down all these years, working hard in a condition of Helem and Esther. We will point and say, Ze Elokeinu, kivinu, that we mamshich down. We couldn't see him all the time, but now, Pnei, we can see the face, Yair Hashem panav elecha, the face of the Shechina. Perush, sheyair or havai bisgalus, that the light of Hashem will shine in a revealed way, עד שיהיה נתפס ונקבע אפילו במוחו ושכל אנושי, to the extent that the light of Hashem, godliness, will be grasped and grasped, and embedded, fixed, even in the human mind and the human brain, וראו כל בשר, and it will be so real that the flesh will see godliness, בראייה גשמיס פושיס, in a physical seeing, in a sensing kind of seeing. So the chidush of Yemois HaMashiach is that this Hester and Helem of Pnei HaShechina, of the inner aspect of the Shechina, will be annulled, this concealment, because then man will be refined enough, and the chumrius of the world altogether will be refined enough to the extent that even the spirit of the behemoth, even the beasts, even the animals will change. Like similar to who brings it? It's the Mittler Rebbe brings it. That it will be, the animals will be like the cows who were carrying the Aron HaKodesh to the Yerushalayim. They were singing, they were mooing all the way up to Har HaKodesh, the cows. And also like the Chamoro shel Reb Pinchas ben Yair, who the donkey of Reb Pinchas ben Yair, who wouldn't eat hay unless it was meiser. That there will be such Gilui Elokus that even the animals will have sensitivity. And b'meile, the light of Hashem will be present in a revealed manner, and even in a human, how shall I say, normal perception, all the way to a physical seeing. And this is now the conclusion of the first chapter of this Maimar. כי אלוקינו הוא בחינת זה, אשר לזה קיווינו לו, ולא בבחינת ההוא. This is what it says, ביום ההוא, we say, הנה אלוקינו, זה קיווינו לו. That means that in the future to come, in replacing and instead of the concealment condition of ביום ההוא, that we say there, it's not here, it's hidden. יהיה אלוקינו, godliness will be in a manner of זה, of בגילוי, that you can point to it. מראה באצבעו ואומר זה, which means it tangibly will be able to see אלוקוס. Of course, the Mittler Rebbe brings even deeper aspect that not only that the Shechina, the way it's revealed, will be revealed, but also the Shechina, the way it is in a manner of Choshech, even the source of the Shechina will be revealed. In any case, let's summarize this Perek Aleph. The Rebbe is beginning with a question. Why at first Esther just touches the scepter and then she receives the whole scepter, the second time she interacts with the king? First, in order to understand, the Rebbe first explained what Esther is. Esther comes from Hester panim, concealment. And it's a kinui to Knesset Yisrael at the time of Galus, when spiritually there is a condition of Hester panim lemala, that the Elokus is not revealed. And so it is in each and every individual. That is called Esther, because the Ahava Tivis, the natural love that the Neshama has to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is covered up because of the coarseness that is caused through the engagement with the world that takes us away from this love, or covers it up. And in the future to come, this Hester will be removed, and naturally and automatically, or b'meile, will be revealed the light of Hashem, le'nei kol basar, so the flesh will see. We will see with our physical eyes, we will be able to see Elokus. Not even the eyes, even the flesh will see Elokus. And in a manner of zeh, that you can point to it and see it in front of us. So this is so far the first out of 6 chapters of this Maimar.